Are you ready to finally break free from overwhelm, procrastination, and burnout? If you're ready to focus on what truly matters and create momentum to reach and exceed your goals in business and in life, then this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Efficiency Advantage, the podcast where clarity meets action and purpose that fuels your progress. So here's world-class productivity expert and your host, Coach Julie.
Welcome to the Efficiency Advantage podcast. I'm Julie Shulam, your host, and I am super excited because today is the first episode that I have a guest with me. We are going to have a wonderful learning opportunity with Kathy Serenko. Kathy is the founder of AI Efficiency Labs, where she helps leaders responsibly adopt and integrate AI into their organizations through employee training, governance, and policy development. She has trained nearly 1,000 professionals in the practical application of AI tools for workspace efficiency. I think you are going to love what you are going to hear today. So welcome, Kathy. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you, Julie. What a nice introduction. And I'm super proud that I'm your first guest. That's really exciting.
This is exciting.
Appreciate that. It's a compliment.
Well, thank you for being here. All right, we're going to dive right in because we're going to try to keep to the same time frame that my episodes are generally in. And I want to have people learn what it is that you are going to be sharing with us. And first, tell us a little bit about your background and how are you equipped to talk about AI and why should we listen and trust you?
That is a really good question. And it's one I've had to solve for myself because everyone's talking about AI. And then I'll be really honest and say that I thought people might not find me credible because I'm not a 24-year-old tech guru. And then I began to realize that the real differentiator is someone who can translate complex information into verbiage and concepts that other people can absorb and apply. And so I have a background in professional training. I was a corporate trainer for Capital One and another organization when I lived in Houston. And I've always found my way back to education. That is my passion. So when I started my business up again, when I left corporate, I wanted to facilitate learning for adult learners. And my background is communication. And so AI, initially practical AI like ChatGPT, was a natural fit. And if I might add one more thing here, I had done professional writing in between in technical areas like additive manufacturing, robotics, and AI, which the pinnacle of my career was getting an AI article published by Forbes. I'm still excited about that.
Nice.
But that was before ChatGPT became a thing. And so that all aligned so that I feel like I can come to people with the AI message.
Excellent. Well, you're definitely qualified to be talking about what we're talking about. And I, for one, am very grateful and very excited. So tell us a little bit about some of the things that you recommend. Are there specific AI tools that you feel are best for everyday efficiency? After all, this is the Efficiency Advantage podcast. So tell us about
my
that.
recommendation, Julie, is that people not run after every tool that comes out. You'll get links from friends and family and say, you've got to do this. This does grocery shopping, and this does calendar management, and this does image. And you can be running after a lot of tools when really I would say the best way to simplify is to focus on 2 to 3 tools max until you really get a handle on it. You might have some listeners who are very much more advanced, but they'll already be familiar with that. Personally, I love Claude, Anthropic's Claude. ChatGPT it's comparable, right? But Claude has really, in my opinion, pulled ahead in its ability to really make work more efficient. So that's my number one. And I now love pairing Claude Chat with Claude Cowork. We might not have
Oh,
time to talk about that, but that's a really my favorite recommendation right now.
you know what? Go ahead and talk about it. Why?
Okay. It has made all the difference. And I want you to know I've been using ChatGPT and other platforms since it came out. And you really learn by doing. I can give tips, but you're going to learn the most by doing. But Claude Cowork is a desktop app that you download. So the difference is Claude Chat is working online, right? You're working through the cloud, whatever. Don't have all my IT. I'm not an IT expert. I'm an AI content person. So Claude Cowork, you actually download onto your computer and it stores information on your computer into your download or your local drive. So it takes a little bit of time just to realize to get the two working cohesively. But once you do, I go back and forth between the two all day long because Claude Chat is fantastic for writing and language, and Claude Cowork that as well, but organization, it's just fantastic.
Oh, this is very exciting. Okay, you've given me some new things to start working on because I'm that person that's kind of stuck on just one. And
Okay.
you
But
know,
everything you know about,
I've been nervous about going to a different AI. So this is inspiring. Thank you. I enjoy knowing more. Tell me a little bit about, you kind of alluded to using Claude or AI for various things. What kinds of tasks or what kinds of productivity things in particular could people integrate AI, or I guess I should say, how can they use AI in their lives
Mhm.
in order to make things simpler and more productive in their lives?
Yeah, I feel like the AI tools that are out there now have reached a point where they truly can do that. And I know you are the efficiency guru, so I'm sure that some of the things I'm going to say align with what you tell people. But the important part is it doesn't create the skill within them, it's a tool. So all the things you teach about whatever time management, all of those things are still habits we as humans have to form, but we can use AI to support. And you are talking to, not to overuse the term, but probably a very ADHD adult worker. I have a lot of trouble with organization. So I'll start with one of my favorite new tasks with Claude Cowork. Okay.
Okay.
I have taken a long list of things that came off my calendar and I have created a rolling task list. So it took me time initially to load everything in, but I have this whole list and now every day I can go in and update it. That's okay. What I really love about it is I then say, create a weekly sprint for me. And that's just a
Ooh,
term that I use.
okay.
And it just means take everything I have in this whole list and prioritize it based on the criteria I've already given you. I need to focus on revenue. So I've got this, and this categorized as revenue. When you prioritize for the week, make sure I'm dealing with revenue first. Because if people are procrastinators like me, we check every email, we do over social media, and then maybe at the end of the day, we think, I didn't really do anything to address my revenue. So those weekly sprints have been fantastic for me. That's my number one
Okay, that
recommendation
is
right now.
so exciting to hear about. Well, now I want to go try that. That sounds awesome.
A
This
couple
is
other
great.
skills, Julie, that people can do summarizing long documents, like just things
Right.
you want to get done quickly. Meeting notes, preparing for a meeting.
Yeah.
If I be very transparent, before I was going to do this podcast, I told Claude I'm going to be doing a podcast with someone who focuses on efficiency. what questions, what topics do you think she will most want to know about? So that it prepared me. So just little tips like that.
I agree. And I use AI all day long,
Okay.
constantly for everything. And I do much like you just said. I'll just put some information in. I, at one point, put my entire website in and asked AI to pull out the top keywords or pull out what's missing, knowing what I do,
Yes.
what more do I need to say, or how can I consolidate these things that I've got way too much verbiage on,
Yeah.
and make that more concise. So yeah, it saves so much time. But thank you for saying that it doesn't replace the need to understand how to manage time and how to be thinking, because we still need to do those things and understand the concept behind it. And then you can use AI to make things better in a way, or faster and more clear, more succinct. And
Yes.
that's what I love about it too. It's a huge, huge time saver. And for people who I work with, that is a real essential component of life, is to make things easier
Right.
and be
Right.
more productive.
Start with the low hanging fruit. Don't try to attack everything. So I
Mhm.
would say if you can't use it at work, use it at home. You will be amazed at the time you can save there. So that can take some pressure off.
Oh, absolutely. I love it for getting ideas started.
Yes.
So, that sometimes has been really helpful for me, since I write my blog and posts frequently.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm just stuck for an idea and I was like, what would be a good theme or something I can talk about?
What's
And
trending right now?
yeah,
What's the way that would catch people's attention on this? This is fantastic for brainstorming. Anything. Any you want to plan a
yes.
birthday party, you want to write a blog, you want to whatever you want to do. When I worked on my company name and rebranding, I did a lot
Oh,
of brainstorming with AI to come up with what I wanted. But
it's
I stayed in control, and that's the point that we need to emphasize. There
mm,
are risks that people don't always know about the use of AI. And so I always say approach it with complete curiosity and caution.
excellent. Love that. You mentioned risks. What are the risks that we should be aware of when using the AI tools, and is becoming too dependent on one of them an issue?
I think overdependence and blind trust. So I'll address the blind trust. If you people aren't familiar, there's something called hallucinations. AI hallucinates or fabricates information. If you notice, if you've used ChatGPT, does it ever really say, Julie, I don't know the answer to that?
Not when I think it should. I noticed
Right.
it seems to be overly positive and
Yes.
enthusiastic. And I'm
Yes.
like, it's
Julie,
not
you're
that great of an idea,
amazing.
chat.
Yeah, really challenge it to be objective, but more than that, it's important just at the basic level to know that an AI tool is a predictor. So it's a language model predictor. Think of it as a high-speed exponential application to your smartphone. When you text, when you speak a text and you say, "Dang it, that text correct." This is what AI is doing as well. It is filling in blanks and it is predicting based on its training. And so the risk is everything it writes looks polished and is plausible. It doesn't give you things that you're like, are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. No, it gives you things that sound really good and sound correct even when they're not. So that's hallucination.
And
Uh,
how can we tell when something is a hallucination or legitimate?
That's a really tough thing. There are lawyers who are getting um, fined for taking court briefs that have fabricated
Oh,
information. It's just was $110,000 this week against two lawyers. It's a huge problem. So why did that happen? Because it looked correct. They wouldn't have brought something to court that didn't look correct. The key here is that verifying what AI gives you is not the same as the old-fashioned proofreading. Proofreading, you caught things, you know where the errors might be. You could double check facts. Here, you have to really do a little bit more homework on the front side. I don't know how much you want me to get into that, or if you want to talk about the over dependence, because they're both issues.
No, I understand. And I know from my own work, many times I will write something and I'm stating something as a fact, as data, and I will ask AI to give me a citation. Last night it just did this for me. Give me citations for any of the things that you're stating as fact. And then I go check those citations to see if that really exists. One of them came up, error, doesn't even exist. And I called out the AI on it. I said, hey, this didn't come up with anything. This is not an actual location. This didn't work. And I said, oh, you are right. I am so sorry. Like, well, yeah, should have thought of that the first time, but of
It
course, I'm not
doesn't
arguing.
have the capacity. You and I would go to something on Google, we would read actual articles to learn information.
Right.
AI tools like ChatGPT don't go and index knowledge. Like you might think, it's not like they're looking through an encyclopedia or existing knowledge. They've already been trained. Sometimes their training ended, and so they don't have access to the most recent information. Research is one of the biggest areas of risk. So, my recommendation would be if you have a study on efficiency that you really love, bring that resource in and tell ChatGPT to work from that resource.
Oh, that's a nice idea. So go the other way around.
The other way around, you will
Oh,
continue to get fabricated citations.
love that. Thank you for that. All
Welcome.
right. Well, I'm going to use that one. All right, let's wrap this up. This has been so helpful and
Good, I'm
so
glad.
wonderful. How about if you give us maybe a handful of really great ways to start using AI that would make us more productive, whether that be work related, personal, just a handful of ideas of
Okay.
ways that people can really make good use of it, especially if
Okay.
they're not super pro at it.
So these are going to roll right off the top of my mind. We'll see how effective they are.
Go for it.
I think the calendar sprint is great. And I think if you look at your day ahead and you know that you have meetings, create those questions or summaries or talking points ahead of time. Use a note taker online. If you're on Zoom, that would be something like Fathom or Zoom Note Taker. It's going to give you back a great solid review and action points. You can that way you can follow up with the person. So it's sort of a trail. Start with preparing for the meeting and then let that follow through instead of starting at the email endpoint. I would say too, let's say at home, grocery shopping, meal planning. I put in one time I wanted X amount of carbs and X amount of protein in my meal
Mhm.
with as few ingredients as possible. Give me a meal plan for, lunch and dinner. Fantastic. Give me a grocery shopping list based on that. So
I
think from
love that
end
one.
to end instead of individual tasks.
Right. I actually did that exact one. I put in all my dietary restrictions and I actually had it create a protein shake for me so I didn't have to use protein powders. And
Nice.
that it checked all the boxes and I tried it and it worked and it was delicious.
And that's more trustworthy, right? There's so much fact out there about protein and all. I feel, and it's not going to harm you or your business credibility if it makes a mistake. So those are very low risk applications.
Yes, no, it's really I find it fun to use as well as so helpful. And it has really reduced the amount of time I spend on certain kinds of tasks that with as well as good, I should say, as good of an outcome or better than I would
Yeah,
have gotten otherwise. So
yeah, I would agree.
it works out great. This is so wonderful. Kathy, thank you so very, very much
Welcome. I
for
appreciate it.
sharing your amazing wisdom on this topic. How can people reach you if they would like to contact you personally?
Well, my website's a great starting point because there's a contact form there and there's also a resource page so people can download things that might be useful at no cost. And the website is AI Efficiency Labs.ai. It's okay if I share that again. It's a little different. So AI,
Yes.
the word efficiency labs.ai. And one other thing I'd say your readers might enjoy, I do a monthly email that is not sales at all. It is, here is a task you can use AI for, 5 easy steps to accomplish this task, or 4 steps for this. So it's really hands-on, practical tips.
And I will validate that because I received that newsletter and it is always full of really excellent information.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Efficiency Advantage podcast. I want to thank Kathy for being on the show today. And if you have any questions you want to bring up to me, please know you can go to askcoachjulie.com, and Julie is spelled Juli. And I would be happy to answer any questions you have in the arena of productivity and in any capacity. And if you are not a subscriber, please subscribe, and then you'll be the first to know when the next episode goes live. Thank you again, and have a productive day.
So that's it for today's episode of The Efficiency Advantage. Head on over to Apple Podcasts, iTunes, or wherever you listen and subscribe to the show. One lucky listener every single week that posts a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes will win a chance in the grand prize drawing to win a private VIP day with Coach Julie herself. Be sure to head on over to theefficiencyadvantage.com and pick up a free copy of Coach Julie's gift and join us on the next episode.